Otis down.
I had to let a little off. Yeah, I had to cut a bill off. Yeah, but if we be real though.
All right. Well, Otis, thank you for coming on. We've been trying to get you on for a while now. And for those of you that don't know, you're pretty much the third Lenny brother, some say. So you're hanging around us a lot. You're surfing jaws with us. You guys were just neck and neck at the Molokai to Oahu race. So let's start there. Tell us about, how did your race go?
Yeah, it went pretty good. Somehow Kai and I seemed to find each other out in the channel. It's 40 miles of open ocean, and mid-race we were 5 feet away from each other, just screaming, having a good time. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, the race was fun this year. It's gotten super competitive. Otis is really fast. He actually had a new KT foil designed by Kane, who he got second on, but Otis did impressively well. How many spots did you jump compared to last year?
I think I shaved off an hour from my time last year.
Jeez.
And I jumped like 50 spots.
And
Wow.
this is
Yeah.
all with no training too, which is pretty impressive. I mean, granted, you did have maybe one of the fastest foils, if not the fastest foil out there, but it was different in design because it wasn't a small foil. Like everyone was riding tiny foils. Edo, who won the race, was riding a 515 F1, and Kane was on a 775. So considerably larger if you know foils. And you were riding that, but you were so fast, and it's remarkable how fast you can make it. And I think, due part, you have the right size. You know, you're 190 something pounds and 6'2" now, probably 6'4" by next year, because you're still growing. And I mean, what I mean by Otis not actually training this year is he was down in Fiji for 2 months, a month.
For a month, yeah.
Yeah, for an entire month right before this race. And yeah, you were training by, working with clients, but also just having fun and surfing. So I was actually really impressed this year how well you did without actually having the follow through with, the training side. And I think you probably surprised yourself too.
Yeah, I think after Paddle-Emu, I was pretty surprised how far up I was. And then M2M, I just wanted to have a clean race, not fall, and try and maybe break top 10. Ended up 21st, I think. So, but it's really hard to break top 30 nowadays.
It's crazy. Everyone, it seems like the top guys, that's what they do all year. Every single day they're doing Maliko runs, or I'm sure Edo goes every day on Oahu. But it seems like to get to that level, you almost have to dedicate that type of time. Unless, I mean, I don't know. Maybe with you, it's like you haven't trained much, and then you just, maybe next year, if you do like a month of training, maybe you could
Well,
get
I
into
think
that.
it's also, it's a combination of, the training component was what Otis was missing this year,
Yeah.
but the size helps. You
Right.
know, the top 5 guys are all pretty heavy. And, you have to have the right foil underneath your feet. But with Otis it's just like in windsurfing. Back when I was doing windsurfing, I couldn't race at a certain point because I didn't have the weight or the leverage. And with downwind foiling, I think it really helps. There's a huge advantage. So if you have that weight and size, you can totally leverage that over that foil and go really fast and have an average speed of 20 miles an hour and a top speed of 30 plus miles per hour. Not that it's not impossible for someone my size or someone even smaller. I know Finn Spencer's really fast, but he's, I think, spent a lot of time dedicating on his foil. And he's actually on the other end of the spectrum. He's actually
You're on a
extremely
tiny
light.
foil, yeah.
He's on if Otis and, is riding a 775, Finn's on like a 450,
Jeez.
which is almost half.
That's crazy.
And then also Finn weighs probably 50 pounds less than you. So, I guess it's just, you got to just find where your strengths lie. And I think, Finn found it in his foils. Otis has probably found it more than anything in his size,
Yeah.
and then obviously his foil expertise and experience.
Does it feel like, I don't know, to me it feels like there's been so many huge leaps year after year at M2O. Like every year there's been 30 minutes shaved off the top time. Do you think we're reaching a sort of plateau as far as how fast people are going to go? And then maybe next year it's going to be 5 minutes faster. Otis, what do you think?
I think the sky's the limit with the way foils are going and kind of design. They're going smaller, more effective, but also on the other side of the spectrum, Kane's foil's bigger, but can go just as fast as Finn's 450. So I think the foils are just going to get better. People are going to get more in shape. And I think
So you think another 20 minutes is going to get shaved off?
for
next year?
sure.
Really?
Yeah.
And
100%.
what do you think?
I don't know if it'll be 20 minutes because I think it's just like when stand-up paddle racing, you get sort of to a point where how much you can't go any faster than maybe the swells will even allow you, you know? And right now people are just getting super hyper efficient. I totally think there's still a lot to shave off. Maybe another 5 minutes, possibly 10. It's obviously condition dependent. I think if anything, it's down. We're down to the equipment too, where the better the foils are going to get, the fastest guys are just going to get faster. And it's also about stiffness. When you make something so fast and thin, how do you keep it from flexing? And flex is a lot of loss of energy. We'll see. I think these guys are doing it year round, working with brands year round, and by this time next year, it's going to look like you can't use the same foil you're using this year. It's just, you're not going to be even in the mix, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of looking forward to the time when the design aspect of it kind of plateaus in that everyone's sort of on a similar thing. And I feel like it's going to make the field a lot more competitive. It would just be cool to see who would win based purely on how hard they're pushing versus who has the magic sauce this year for their foil.
I think there will always be, the sport's so technical that it's always going to be who has the best equipment for the conditions, because you might have a good foil for one, but there's conditions change so much you can optimize your equipment for it. I mean, this is a super deep and kind of boring rabbit hole in a way.
Yeah.
But we could get Kane to discuss all the intricacies, but I think with Otis, we should skip to the fun part, which is your experience jumping into the deep end of the pool. And I don't mean the channel, I mean big wave surfing.
Yeah, so this was this past season was it your first time even surfing out there, or did you surf the year before too?
No, I towed October 2023, so yeah.
Okay,
year.
but this was like your first full season. Yeah. You put in a lot of time. And I remember the first swell in October 2024, just us two went out. Kai was, I don't know where you were. You might have been on Oahu or something, but I remember I was like towing all afternoon, and I was like, Otis, hop on the rope. And he's like, no, I'm too freaked out or something, and then fast forward like a month or two, and you're pulling into or attempting to pull into giant barrels out there. How did you go from being that freaked out the first session to like, where did that confidence come from?
That keyword attempting there. But,
Yeah.
I think that first session, I just got like freaked out watching it too long, just sitting in the channel.
I made it look scary.
Because it was just kind of a circus in a way. Like first swell, everyone's super amped. Everyone wants a wave. And then you obviously have the first priority because you spent the most time out there. And there's like a few jabronis. And then fast forward to, December when we had that crazy run of swell. I was just like, you can't back down now. Like, you have Kai and Ridge to help you. You're not going to get too hurt. Just go for it. And
we can't guarantee that.
Hope for the best.
That's sick. And so that run of swell, it was 5 days, right? 5 days of big waves pretty much in December. And were you mainly paddling or?
You were sick.
I wasn't there. So I don't know.
And Kai was like, you're telling me. And I was oh, I was super nervous because I didn't want to. But obviously with Kai, he can, if you tell him in a bad spot, he knows how to get out of it pretty fast and easy. But mostly that's I was towing Kai and then towed a little bit and paddled mostly because it was glassy. And that was pretty surreal because you're out there with 40 other guys. They all want a good wave. And you kind of have to scrap for waves out there now. It's pretty heavy.
Yeah, 100%. And just like what was, I remember my first time paddling after towing. How was that different? Was it more scary, or did you almost feel like it was comfortable because it's all just you? You don't have to worry about anyone else.
Definitely more scary. You have to really position yourself in a perfect spot, and you have the crowd there. You have to work around the crowd. Don't want to get in anyone's way, and it's all up to you. You don't have a ski towing you in. It's all manpower. So it's definitely more rewarding in a way because you feel like once you kick out a wave, you feel so alive. But I think towing's more fun.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Kyle, what was your experience showing in the ropes as far as towing goes? Did he pick it up pretty fast?
Well, I think, you either have the driving skill or you don't. And, I've been on both sides of the coin where you go out with somebody that you haven't necessarily towed with a ton. I mean, I've towed with Otis a ton on the outer reefs, but going into big waves, it's a little different because there's a lot more on the line. And if you don't nail the pickup, say on the left, especially when I was, interested in trying to foil the left, it's a lot more critical. Essentially Otis has this advantage because, hanging out with us long enough, he's really accomplished not only in surfing, but, the wind sports. And you can check it off from windsurfing to kite surfing to wing foiling. And he spent a lot of time, even on a stand-up paddleboard and obviously with foils and all this sort of stuff. So that had really helped him read the water very well. And there's almost a sensitivity to it because all the sports require sensitivity to be able to like subtly adjust your equipment in the air in order to, not fall or maximize the performance that you're trying to display. And driving a jet ski is all about subtle inputs. It's like, it's not full gas this way. It's not full gas that way. It's just, you're kind of like up and down on the throttle. And when Otis would tow me in, he was really good at it. And once I taught him the lineups and, okay, this is how we triangulate. I mean, I for sure spent majority of my time yelling at him from the back of the rope, but he would listen. So, and I think maybe the highlight of towing with Otis this year was towing him into a wave at the end of a day, at the end of a session when everyone had left and it was just us. And it was like, I had been towing and the waves were getting smaller and we were this close to just leaving. And I was like, Otis, just get one more. And I had this funny feeling that something big was going to come. And sure enough, this just black mamba came out of the ocean and it had that horseshoe effect. And when I towed Otis in, I remember coaching him and into what was going to happen and how it was going to happen. Otis, maybe you can describe what I was telling you.
Yeah,
and
walk us
what the end was like.
Walk us through that wave in a lot of detail because we've talked about it before, and it's just like it's a crazy story. So yeah, give us all the details.
Yeah, we were out the back. I was pretty sunburnt, pretty tired. Saw the black blob out the back, and I was like, "Oh gosh, this is it."
You're going to.
Yeah, and I know I'm going. Get towed up. Kai's telling me what the wave's gonna do, putting me in the perfect spot.
Like, what was he saying?
He was like, "Don't bottom turn too fast, and don't highline it, because you'll just outrun the barrel."
Yeah.
So he towed me in. He's like, and then the last words I remember were, "Don't blow it." And I was like, okay, like last wave of the session, I'm just going to go for it. Like if I fall, I don't care. Faded kind of a little bit. Like looking back at the clip, I maybe could have faded a little more and then maybe done a check turn. But came off the bottom and I just saw it like, it looked like it was going to close out. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, do I just go straight? Like, what do I do? And then I pulled up and I was just in the biggest barrel ever. Like, once you're in a barrel that big, there's just no going back to little.
You're just tripping.
Yeah. And I'm tall now, so I can't really fit in this small barrel. So standing in a barrel that big was pretty crazy. And I was just looking at the lip coming over, and I saw like a second section coming down the line. And I was like, okay, I gotta pump. Like I thought I was in like a 4-foot barrel. Like just pump through the barrel. Ended up losing my fins. Landed and my back foot just blew out of the strap, and it happened so fast. I just went arms out and then caught my outside edge and just went in like a diving pose and pretty much tweaked my back pretty bad.
What was going through your head like when did it become clear that you were falling on the biggest wave you've ever fallen on?
Probably when I was like falling back and I could see the lip coming down at me. And then I just remember like the sunset in the channel, and I was like, wow, this is gonna be a crazy shot.
That's all you were thinking about.
Yeah.
TikTok
And then,
generation.
and then in the back of my head, Kai saying,
the
"Don't
button.
blow it."
Dang. And you get smoked or what?
Yeah, I got pretty flexed at the beginning, and then you can see in the clip I get sucked over, and then Kai comes to pick me up, and I'm fully inflated, and I couldn't reach my deflate tab, and the next wave's like just as big. He's coming in full throttle. He's like, "Get on, get on." Like,
It was a pretty tight pickup because you
Yeah.
came up late. It was the end of a swell. Normally on those bigger days, or on bigger days, like there's a bigger spread between the whitewater. And in this case, it was the end of the day, and the waves were actually pretty small. And then there was just this rogue, 20-footer that came in. So it was a big wave. It would have been a big wave on any day, but the difference was the interval between the waves had shortened.
Oh yeah.
So it was like 13, 14 seconds. And so the whitewater was so thick, and I came in to get Otis, and he was blown up like a balloon, and he was obviously fatigued. I was like, okay, you got to get on now, or otherwise I have to leave because the next wave's already barreling. Like it's going to barrel onto us in 2 seconds. I mean, we only really had maybe a 5-second turnaround, like 5 or 6 seconds to like get him and get out.
Dang.
But you were so inflated, you couldn't actually get on the sled because it was so whitewater, and you were obviously tired. Trying to get on fully inflated is a challenge.
Yeah, I was stuck like between the sled and the collar, like the little
Yeah.
corner, and I just like couldn't reach my right arm to the handle. And then I just at one point just gave up. I was like, it's not worth losing.
Were you going
a ski.
full panic mode or what?
No, I was.
It
Pretty
I could
calm.
see it, him succumb to his destiny. But he was just like, he popped up. He was obviously red because he was sunburnt, red because he had no oxygen, fatigued because it was already an hour 10. We were out there all day, and I think we were out there the day before. And so I just remember seeing him just look up, and it looked like he just gave up. Like, just take me.
Just like,
It's
this
like
is my
that
fate.
meme when the dog just like.
Yeah.
But he ducked his head in like an ostrich, and I could just see this red dot as I was driving in front of it go over the falls. And I mean, part of me was laughing pretty hard because it was pretty comical.
Yeah.
But then I was like, gosh, I hope he's actually okay. Because he did do a scorpion out of the barrel,
yeah,
and,
that was gnarly.
and then when we came around the other side, it was like, I think he was pretty done after that.
Yeah, jeez. So, but looking back at that wave, like once you saw the footage, what was your reaction to like your decisions you made, or like how you perceived what was happening? Like, what would you have done different if you could have that wave over again?
I think I would have stalled a little more at the beginning, and then got that first barrel section, and then came out like straightened out, and then check turn to maybe get a second section.
Yeah.
Because I've been looking at like footage of you guys, and you usually get like a 3-second barrel come out, and you have to go straight. You can't keep going towards the channel. It just doesn't work like that. There's
Yeah.
just too much speed.
It just bowls too much.
Yeah.
Well, it bowls, and it gets really steep. It's steepest at the end of the barrel at Jaws and not in the beginning. And so it's almost like you hit like a wall. Like you run into the wall of the wave. You have to like, like downturn a quarter pipe if you were snowboarding or just like even skiing. You just have to go with the flow of it, or like skateball,
Yeah.
You can't fight it. You just got to go with it.
But isn't that trippy though? How like on the wave you thought like, oh my gosh, this is a closeout. I need to get going down the line. When in reality you should have been stalling more.
Yeah.
Like how trippy is that? That was so rattling to me when I was first learning. I remember there was a day that it was just you and I out, and it was like it was perfect though. It was like 12 to 15 feet, and there's a ton of barrels. And I remember I got the first wave I towed into, or that you towed me into. I like thought I was deep. I thought I was gonna get drained, and all of a sudden the wave's over, and I was so bummed, and he was even more bummed at me because I was like just wasted a really sick wave, And then after that, I was just telling myself, I was like, okay, I don't care if I fall. I don't care if I'm pulling into a straight closeout. I'm not going to hear it from him again that I wasn't deep enough. So the next wave I went on, I just like, I let go of the rope, and I'm just like, screw it. And then I just did the biggest cutback ever right when I let go of the rope, like behind the North Peak. And I turned around, and it looked like I was just like, it was like a suicide mission. And I was like, okay, at least like I'm going to pull into the barrel, and then I just don't have to ever hear it from Kai again. Then I'm like dodging barrels. And the thing just like, it ended up being the perfect spot. I got drained and came out. And that's just what it has to look like if you're towing. Like if it looks like you're like, oh, I think I'm in the right spot, you're just gonna absolutely barrel dodge it. Like it literally has to look like you're pulling into a straight closeout. And like I'd be interested to hear your journey with that. Did it come really natural for you to like get deep, or did you have to like figure that out in the same type of way?
I mean, I've been out there for a long time, and it's just like you gradually grow into it. Towing was always hard because you have all this speed and control, and you get in the wave early and gives you time to think, and you see this giant wall and you're like, I don't want to fall. So you kind of take the easy route and go ahead. But I mean, I got pretty used to getting barreled when the paddle movement began, because you paddle into a wave that you think is good and then it walls out. You have just no choice. And you're already late. It's already kind of barreling. So there's a comfort level in the sense like, okay, it's already barreling. Whereas when you're towing in, you're watching it develop still. And towing, you can be twice as deep and still be in front of the barrel. Whereas paddling, those boards are big and they're very slow. And, it's not the fastest equipment out there. So the slow part of the board, you don't actually have to be as deep on a big wave paddling gun as a tow board, just because of the speed difference. And so in a way, it's almost harder to get a really, really good barrel towing. I know it sounds crazy. It's probably scarier initially to paddle into a really big wave and get barreled. But the hardest part about big wave paddling surfing is making the barrel, where the hardest part about towing surfing, getting a barrel, is committing to being 100 yards deeper than the nearest paddler. So it's like there's separate challenges that you mentally have to overcome. I mean, it's funny because you just don't see people getting barrel towing really that often. I'd say you'd probably see people getting barreled paddling a lot more often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like you have to be okay with the fact that you're setting yourself up in a position where you very well are probably going to get smoked. You know what I mean? Or it looks like you're going to get smoked. Paddling, it's sort of like there's so much going on. You finally get a wave off the crowd. You're coming off the bottom, and all of a sudden you're just in the barrel. Like, but towing, it's like, oh, I have to do all these steps beforehand to get myself in this really messed up position to actually get. Yeah, it's a really weird mental thing for sure. But did you get any opportunities to pull in paddling this year?
Not really. I was kind of sitting on the West Bowl and then more like mid peak, and I was kind of looking for the waves that weren't walling that much, or I was just trying to get waves I could get. My first wave, I thought, like my first wave paddling, I thought, oh, maybe this will barrel, and I didn't realize like how early you have to initiate the bottom turn. And by the time I started bottom turning, this guy dropped in on me too.
That doesn't help.
Yeah, so I just bottom turned on my first wave, biggest wave I've ever seen in my life, and I just see a body coming down like 50 miles an hour.
A body, or like
he was
like
coming
was he
down.
Falling though, or
no,
was he riding?
He was riding,
okay,
but he was coming at me.
Oh god, so you would have collided.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And then just went on my heels as quick as I could. I was like, wow, I'm about to get really smoked right now. And you can see in the clip, the whitewater lands behind me and I just disappear. Like I fell on my side, and it was like the first like 3-second ragdoll, and then it felt like I was floating.
Yeah.
And then I got pounded again, and then Ola picked me up.
Nice.
Yeah, that was hard for me this year. Like we were talking about the different approaches. Now this is the first year I was trying to you saw I was like actually actively trying to hunt barrels paddling. And I kept going on waves that I was just way too deep on. Because I was so used to towing. I was like, okay, you have to be deep. And then I realized what you were just saying. It's like more about the wave. Like you just want one of those super ledged out ones, and you don't really want to be that deep.
When you watch some of the best guys out there, sometimes when they paddle in, you're like, especially on the West Bowl, when they paddle in, you're like, oh, the wave's not going to do anything. Like they look like they're like on the shoulder. And then by the time they stand up and they get on the rail and they mid-face bottom turn, like just in that few seconds, the wave transforms.
Yeah.
Like you have to almost predict something you can't see. And that's just experience though. It's like you just got to put time in every swell. Boom, boom, boom. And pretty sure anyone can figure it out. It's just you got to be able to pay the price a few times. And bigger days are different, And we haven't had a really clean big day. Well, we did with the Eddy swell. However, that was like, I think, a short paddle window, and most of the big wave paddle guys were out at Waimea Bay. But collectively, all that being said, Otis, did you always want to go out to Jaws, or was it one of those things that just by virtue of being around us, you were kind of like, well, I guess I'm gonna go out there, you know? Or was it like, oh no, I always dreamt of being there? And you live pretty close. And fun fact, Otis lives in Laird's old house when Laird was at his prime out at Jaws. And we make some pretty funny jokes about it. And that's where we'll come next. But did you literally believe that this is what you were always meant to do, is go ride this wave?
Yeah, I mean, being around you guys and watching you kind of grow up out there and surf, I feel like I was gonna go out there at some point, but I didn't think it would happen this fast. And when I was like 17 or so, I got more interested in kind of surfing the outer reefs, towing with friends, towing with you guys. And I feel like you can't just go straight out there. You have to put in time on the outer reefs, drive jet skis, drive with you guys, and then you can slowly work your way up there. And I definitely wanted to, like from a young age, just living so close, walking down there, watching the swells. But as soon as it came around, I was kind of second guessing a little bit. But as soon as you're out there, all the nerves go away. And as soon as you get those first waves, it really helps.
I mean, like you said, you were really well prepared. I mean, we weren't nervous about taking. I mean, I feel like we wouldn't have taken you out there if we didn't think you were going to be able to handle it. And you probably were able to handle it for like a year before you even went. But it's definitely smart to, like you said, take the baby steps and not force it unnecessarily.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. So that was your first full season. What is your, I guess, goals for this coming season? Like what do you want to change out there? How is your approach going to change?
I'd say goals for this season are just get more comfortable paddling, maybe move up the lineup a little bit towards mid-peak, kind of hunt those West Bowl barrels a little more. And then for towing, try and just do back threes, front threes, back flips, all that, and then try and get more barreled without eating it.
Yeah, those are my goals too. Oh yeah, what about the wipeout we talked about wasn't the only horrific barrel attempt that you had. Tell us about the other one. We had a late season swell in April, and it was big and wonky, and you were basically set up for a crazy wave. Who knows if you would have made it, but tell us what happened on that particular wave. We'll play the clip.
Yeah, I got towed in, and it was so windy that day. I got towed in, and I wanted to turn left as soon as possible. And as soon as I turned left, I hit this 4-foot phantom chop thing. And you can see in the beginning of the clip, I'm flying backwards like this, almost falling. Landed, was on my heel edge, started turning left more. And by the time I was turning, bottom turning to ride the wave, I just saw it. I was like, wow, I'm going to get lipped in the face. I'm going to get super pounded right now. And it capped over me. And I was like, oh, should I pull in? And I was like, no, there's not enough time. I'm going to get lipped by the time I bottom turn. So I just decided to try and punch through the back.
What made you think that was a good idea?
I just lost conscious. I blacked out.
I think you were getting pretty confident too, because you were doing backside threes and you're feeling it. And then, that one thing leads to another and you end up just going pretty deep. So that was probably what led to it. It was just abundance of confidence. And then Jaws, he brings you back to earth, and then you build back from there. It happens to everybody.
Yeah. And then got sucked over. I actually thought I made it out the back because I saw Ola coming to get me. I was like, oh, I'm swimming. You can see in the clip I'm kicking. And then I just went for a ride.
Just straight back over.
Yeah.
Was that a worse pounding than your first one?
No. For
Wasn't
sure.
as bad.
I actually got more pounded paddling.
Oh, really?
Well, that's standard
Yeah.
because you have a leash and a giant board towing you underwater,
Yeah, I've definitely gotten more pounded paddling for sure.
Paddling, you get way more worked. Way more.
What about okay, let's circle back to the Laird thing. So the joke is that you share a throne with Prime Laird. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so before every Jaws swell, I'd sit on that throne. The same throne as Laird when he was in his prime. But yeah, Kai, so actually, funny story. I came over to go kite with Kai, and I pulled into his driveway, and I sensed an aura. It was glowing from the boardroom. It was like shining light out. I was like, "What's going on in there?" I opened the door and I just got blinded by it. Laird, no shirt on, just golden beast.
And then what happened after that? You saw him, and then did you just freeze up or starstruck?
No, I shook his hand, and then first thing Kai says is, "Yeah, he lives in your old house and sits on the same throne as you before every jaws swell." We were just laughing.
What was his reaction? Was he kind of baffled?
Thought it was funny.
Yeah,
that's sick. Wait, then yeah. So have you ever even like you must have met Laird when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, I think I met him when I was like an infant, but
he's such a big presence.
Yeah.
Yeah, his aura is huge. It's radical.
That's crazy.
I'm not sure if you can create your own aura or if you just have to be born with it, because that's like on another level.
Yeah.
You know, when you're around him, there's just like it fills the room. It's there's only a few people I've ever met that were like at that level.
Is that just like like he's just so confident that
I don't know if it's that. It's just like I don't know. There's just this radiating like being. You know what I mean? Like it's just when you're around certain people, they just like I don't know, not necessarily suck the oxygen out of the room because that's a negative, but more like they just like everyone looks towards them. And Laird obviously is Laird, and what he's done also adds to it and stuff. But you know, it's just and Laird's pretty famous around here too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's just like the lore too. I think the fact that like not all of his stuff has been documented over the years. It's like, you know, you hear the stories and it's
he's
almost
borderline
like you get,
myth.
Yeah, you get built up as like this mythological thing. Like you wonder if like, you know, our generation, it's like every little thing anybody does is documented and everybody knows all the details of it.
Well, there's
like,
no mystery.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there just no more aura left or
you never see him too?
I know.
He's
so
rarely on Maui.
Never on Maui. I think the last time he was on Maui was the fires, and before that it might have been, I don't know, like almost 10 years.
That's crazy.
But so what's your goals? What are you doing? Like now you're 19 and you're pro in multiple water sports and you're tapping into big waves. Where do you go from here?
So last year I took the year off of school. I graduated high school in 2024. I was like, might as well take a year off, go out to Jaws, travel, do the wing tour, do the sup races.
How'd it go?
The wing tour? Yeah, it was good. I actually had a good result in Morocco last fall.
What was it?
I got second, and I was battling Cash in the final.
Dang.
And then
Cash is like one of your best friends too.
Yeah. Grew up together, super good friends. And then I actually got him back in the prone event because we were both in the final.
Oh, so you won the pro and he got second?
Yeah, so we're 1 for 1.
So how'd you finish the tour that year? Like what place?
Well, I missed Cape Verde that year, so I think I finished 10th or so.
So if you had done Cape Verde with the result from this year, because you went to Cape Verde when Cash and Finn did really well. What was your result there?
I think I got 9th.
9th.
Yeah.
So it probably would have shot you up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was only like one event for.
Yeah.
It's
kind of unfortunate, but.
Are they planning on doing any more events in the future?
It looks like this year it's done for the Wave Tour because they've already crowned Cash. They can't really take it back. And then they haven't announced it for next year, so it's kind of up in the air with the tour at the moment. They're kind of mostly focused on freestyle because that's more entertaining for most people.
Well, I guess it's just the accessibility. They can do it in flat water places in Europe. And I mean, I don't know. I really was enjoying the wave riding, and I didn't know if I would because, you know, foiling, there's not a spray component, or traditionally there isn't, you know, and most people are just kind of like going up and down the wave. But the level of wing wave riding has gotten so impressive that I think even famous surfers are taking notice and posting some really epic clips of, you know, Cash's competition and stuff and what he was doing. And it's all the same stuff you're doing. But it's just kind of interesting how it's evolved to the point where now you guys are throwing spray on a foil on a wave, and you know you're bringing freestyle into the wave, and it reminds me of windsurfing. You know, actually doing maneuvers off the lip and clearing huge sections like a bird.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what's your plan for this coming year then, or the rest of this year?
this week I go back to Fiji for 2 weeks, hopefully score some waves, and then I come home and then I start school on Oahu. I'm going to college at UH Manoa.
What are you studying?
Not sure yet.
I thought you were going to go into engineering or something.
Well, yeah, maybe. Well, the first 2 years it's just general credit, and then you can choose a major. But
so, are you still gonna try to like come over to Jaws and do all that?
100%. I didn't want to go too far
because you almost went to California, right?
Yeah, I applied to a lot of California schools just because my mom wanted me to. But
so you have obviously you're gonna go to school, and that's a goal in itself.
Yeah.
But in water sports, what do you want to do next? I mean, yeah, we know what you want to do at Jaws. You know, just keep elevating, get barrel, do tricks and stuff. But is there any other like sports that you're like, oh gosh, I want to really get good at this? And maybe Oahu would be a better place for those sports than even here.
I'd say windsurfing. I really want to get more consistent at windsurfing. I did the Aloha Classic last year. Kind of had a bad result, but hopefully we'll do it this year. And I kind of want to spend more time training because last year that event was right before Morocco, so I was only winging. Want to get goiters down, 360s, you know, all those tricks.
Just get them on lock.
Yeah, I feel windsurfing's definitely harder to learn tricks than winging, just because there's so much going on. You're connected to the board's connected to the sail. It's just way harder in general, and I think that's why people don't do it as much.
It's a hard
nowadays.
sport.
Well, it's the impact too, and you have to be so technically refined. You know, there's not a lot of forgiveness, but when there's no better feeling than when you pull off a crazy windsurf maneuver in waves. Like it's such a rush.
Yeah,
that you do it once, then you just want to keep getting better.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap up too, I wanted to one question I wanted to ask was, since you were relatively young going into, say, big waves, specifically in Jaws, and you were, 17 or 18, I didn't surf out there until I was like 22 or something like that. You know, I was like already pretty grown up, but like, what would be your advice for kids that are, say, 16 and are interested in going to Jaws? And I mean, we've seen a few of them out there this year. It's like, what is your recommendation to those kids that want to get into it as being someone that just did it?
I'd say find a mentor, someone that's already in big wave surfing, so like you guys, and then just take it slow. Just get more comfortable with big waves. Don't just send yourself out there trying to get an Instagram clip and going viral, because you'll just end up hurting yourself, and then people won't want you out there anymore. So I think I spent 3 years on the outer reef before even going up to Jaws and looking at it. And I think that really helped with just getting comfortable with the amount of water moving. Because on the outer reefs, it's just way more power. And once you get used to that, driving the ski, picking people up, and kind of just getting a sense of the rotation, then it's way easier once you go up to Jaws.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes sense.
Well, sick.
Yeah.
Well, Otis, thanks for coming on, dude. We'll definitely be having you on more in the future as you get more crazy Jaws stories, I hope. Hopefully not terrible wipeouts again.
Hopefully more barrel makes.
Yeah. Hopefully we get you on after you get the craziest barrel of your life, and you can talk us through that one.
That'll be awesome.
All right, see you next time.
Sweet. Thank you, guys.